This happened in 2019. At that time, I had just started college. The advantage of the Academy of Fine Arts was that there were not many people, and the pace of life was relatively easy. Our dormitory was a quadruple room, and the design of going to bed and getting off the table was quite comfortable. I have 3 roommates in the dormitory. Let's call them Xiao A, Xiao B, and Xiao C. The opposite bunk of Xiao A was Xiao B, and my opposite bunk was Xiao C. I remember one night, I went to bed early to rest. When I was sleeping soundly, I suddenly heard a crunching sound. The sound was not loud, but it was exceptionally clear, as if the door had been pushed open by someone. At that time, I was really sleepy, so I didn't get up to look at it at all, and then turned around and continued to sleep. Just as I was in a daze, I suddenly heard Xiao Si on the opposite side of the shop cursing. He was from Sichuan, and he was cursing in Sichuan dialect. Although I didn't understand the specific meaning, I felt that his tone was quite aggressive. My first reaction was that Xiao Si should be talking in his sleep. It's not uncommon to think about this, and I didn't pay much attention. But after listening for about a minute or two, Xiao Fei's voice gradually disappeared, and I thought he was asleep again. However, at this moment, I felt that the quibble position of the quilt seemed to be gently pulled down by something, and at that moment, my brain was completely awake. I suddenly realized that little C might not have been talking in his sleep when he scolded people just now, because I often heard the old people at home say that if you encounter something unclean, don't panic, but scold him. The more ruthless and dirty, the better. It is said that this will scare him away. So I also started to scold like little C, but the problem is that I don't scold people at all, and the vocabulary reserve is seriously insufficient. Seeing that the quilt had been pulled out by 1-3, my heart suddenly shook, and I could only pull it back desperately, but the strength of that thing was surprisingly large, as if it was deliberately competing with me. The more I pulled it, the more scared I became, and a terrifying thought could not help but appear in my mind. If the quilt was completely pulled down by him, would he directly crawl into my bed? Thinking of this, a wave of anger rushed to my head, and I couldn't care less.
There's nothing there. Am I hallucinating?
I was really scared to death, so I quickly shrank back into the quilt, and then I trembled all over and grabbed the quilt. I was full of fear that he would get into my quilt, but after 10 minutes, nothing happened. Gradually, I was sleepy and overcame my fear. I actually fell asleep in a daze again. When I woke up again, it was already the next morning. I quickly got up and got out of bed, immediately woke up Xiao C, Xiao A, and Xiao B, and asked them one by one about their situation last night. Xiao C told me that he was indeed scolding the dirty thing last night, while Xiao A and Xiao B said that they also heard the scolding and the sound of opening the door last night, but because they were too sleepy at the time, they didn't care too much, so they rolled over and continued to sleep. That day, the 4 of us in the dormitory unanimously decided to go to the school to apply for a replacement dormitory. I thought that for such reasons, the school would definitely refuse, but unexpectedly, they agreed happily. At that time, the school's dormitory was indeed vacant, and maybe the enrollment rate was not high that year. After we moved out, the dormitory was sealed with seals. However, it is incredible that the 630 bed was never opened until after we graduated. As for what secrets were hidden in that dormitory, no one knew. This matter has also become a mystery in our hearts forever.